dealing with Exhibit 31?
Correct, Your Honor, and just for the record, if I did already offer Exhibit 31, I will just for the record re-offer Exhibit 31.
No objection, Your
All right, 31 is received. Do you wish for it to be published?
Yes, Your Honor. And Mr. Martin, what I'm going to do now is start playing Exhibit 31. And just like the previous video, at some points we'll just stop and I'll ask you some questions about it, all right?
Okay.
So for the record, this is starting at about 7:55, and I think 46 seconds roughly on the timestamp on the video, correct? Now I'm going to pause it right here because the first part that we watched showed you and somebody walking out of the store, correct?
Yes.
And that portion of the video is from the security camera inside the store, correct?
Yes.
And so the person that you were walking out with, and again, you don't have to give us his name, but it was a coworker?
Yes.
All right. And so now we're looking at a separate camera angle from outside the store, correct?
Yes.
And this timestamp, obviously different than the previous one because this shows 2019-12, correct?
Correct.
And do you recognize what area is depicted in this video as we're looking at it right now?
This is 38th Street and the side of Cup Foods.
And if you want to use the stylus too, just kind of point out, the door of Cup Foods and 38th in Chicago. So that's the door, correct?
Correct.
And then
Correct.
which street is 38th, just so we're clear? Okay. And Chicago then is the other street depicted, right?
Correct.
And is the counter where you sell the tobacco products visible in this image?
Correct.
And where is that? And so for the record, you've drawn a small line sort of on the window on the side of Cup Foods, right?
Correct.
And so when you told the jurors earlier that you were able to look out and see where Mr. Floyd went, did you use that window to look out and see that?
Correct.
All right. And so then let's, Your Honor, if you could clear the screen, please. Thank you. And then we will roll this video here for a little bit. Now I'm going to stop it here. And so can you tell the jurors then when you crossed the road and went to this vehicle, obviously the video shows you approaching the passenger side, correct?
Correct.
And why did you approach the passenger side?
Well, I didn't want to stand on the driver's seat side because that's where George was, but there's also oncoming traffic that I wouldn't be able to see, so I chose to go around.
Okay. Why didn't you want to go to the side where Mr. Floyd was?
Because of the oncoming traffic in the
So
street.
it wasn't about Mr. Floyd, it was the traffic.
Yes.
All right. And so we see you then here sort of behind your coworker. Tell us about then, did you have a conversation with the occupants of the car?
Sort of. I notified them that they needed to come back into the store and that the bill was fake and that my boss wanted to talk to them. To George, actually. Sorry, not to both of them, just to George.
And so when you approached the car from the passenger side, did you see how many people were in the car?
3.
And where were the 3 people in the car?
George was in the driver's seat. His friend was in the passenger seat, and there was a woman in the back seat in the middle, or possibly on the right back behind the passenger.
And so had you seen any of those individuals before that day?
No,
Had you seen him in the store earlier?
just the male.
And when you had this conversation at the vehicle, who were you talking to?
The person that George was with.
So the guy in the the front
Correct.
passenger? And did you make any observations at that time of Mr. Floyd?
Correct.
What did you see regarding Mr. Floyd?
He just seemed like he didn't like want this to happen. Like he was just kind of like, oh, like why is it happening, sort of thing.
Did he seem awake?
Yes.
And did he talk to you at all?
Not really. He just kind of shook his head.
And the passenger in the front passenger seat, did he talk to you at all?
Correct.
And I want you to tell us what he said, but the end result, did they agree to come into the store?
No.
When you were there at the vehicle, who did you do most of the talking to?
The person in the passenger seat.
And did you think that you were talking loud enough for the other people in the vehicle to hear you?
Correct.
And so then after that conversation, what did you do after that?
I went back inside with my coworker.
And when you got back inside the store, what did you do?
I told my manager that he did not want to come into the store.
And did you get some further direction then from your manager?
Correct.
And what was that?
Go back outside again and tell him to come inside the store so we can talk to him.
All right, so try it again, in other words.
Correct.
And then for that second trip, did you go with some other coworkers?
Correct.
All right, so what I'm going to do now is start Exhibit 31 up again, and we'll watch that process, okay? So now I'm going to stop Exhibit 31 here briefly because the image has changed, correct?
Correct.
And now this video is of the inside of Cup Foods again, correct?
Correct.
And so we'll see here that you come in, and this is when you had the conversation with your manager about the first trip.
Correct.
All right, so let's let 31 run again, please. Now, if we can stop here for a moment, and the timestamp reflects 7:57:56. You kind of walked off screen, correct?
Correct.
And what was going on at this point in time?
I think that was the conversation I had with my manager when I was saying that he did not want to come inside, but I'd offered to pay, but he said no, just tell him to come back inside.
So did you tell your manager you would just take care of the 20?
I believe so. I did.
And but he directed you then to go back to the vehicle again.
Correct.
Now, we saw you go out on the first trip with another individual, another employee,
Correct.
and he did not come back into the store, did he?
No, he left.
And so when you were told by the manager to go out a second time, did you take some other coworkers with you?
Correct.
Whose idea was that?
I'm not sure.
Okay. All right, so let's run Exhibit 31 again, please. So let's pause the video right here if we could, please, and for the record, now we're back outside again, correct?
Correct.
And the record should reflect that we paused at 20:21:43. So we see that two other individuals coming out before you, correct? And there's appears to be a woman in a black jacket, correct?
Correct.
And is she a coworker, or was she at the time?
Correct.
Had she worked there longer than you?
Correct.
And the other individual has a white T-shirt on. Had he worked there longer than you?
Correct.
And is he actually related to the owners of the store?
Correct.
And so they were out ahead of you at this point, correct?
Correct.
In fact, you had to sort of jog to keep up with them, didn't you?
Correct.
And all right, so let's run 31 then. Now let's pause here just for a moment, please. The record should reflect we're at 20:22:15 as the timestamp when we paused it. The individual in the white T-shirt initially went up to the driver's side, correct?
Correct.
And we see you standing here behind the SUV, correct?
Correct.
And eventually the individual in the white T-shirt went around to the passenger side door, which was open.
Correct.
And were you able to hear the conversation that the guy in the white T-shirt was having with the occupants of the vehicle?
At this point in time, I was not able to hear.
So then let's run the video some more, please. All right, now we see, if we can pause here, please. This is 20:22:21. You walked up to the passenger side of the SUV, correct?
Correct.
So at this point, were you able to hear the conversations that the individual in the white T-shirt was having with the occupants?
Correct.
And were you also able to hear what the occupants of the vehicle were saying and doing?
Correct.
And can you describe for the jurors then what occurred during this period at the SUV?
So in the second time we went out, the person in the passenger seat was doing most of the talking. We were telling him, just come inside, we just want to talk to George. And the person in the passenger seat was saying how, that's not me, like, I tried to use a fake bill and you put me on game, so I ripped it. And that'll happen in the video because he also tried to use a fake bill that I did not let him use, and then he ripped it and he put it on the ground there. So he was just explaining like what had happened.
And so just to be clear, you said the passenger seat, you're talking about the front passenger seat.
Correct.
And at that time, did you have any interaction with Mr. Floyd directly?
I do not recall.
All right. So let's run Exhibit 31 a little bit. Now I'm going to pause it here real quickly, please. And for the record, it's 20:22:34. We saw the individual in the white T-shirt sort of bend over and pick something up. Can you tell the jury what was happening there?
He was picking up the fake bill that the individual in the passenger seat tried to use.
Okay. And you
Right.
referenced earlier one that was torn in half.
Correct.
Is that the bill that was torn in half?
Correct.
All right. And let's keep running 31 then, please. I'm going to ask to pause it right here, please. The timestamp reflects 20:23:35. It appears the two of you are now walking away from the SUV, correct?
Correct.
So during those preceding moments, it appears that the two of you are talking with at least some occupants of the vehicle.
Correct.
And did you have any conversations with Mr. Floyd, or was it just the front seat passengers?
Just the front seat passenger.
Were you able to see Mr. Floyd at all during that interaction?
Correct.
What did you see about him?
As I said earlier, he was just kind of shaking his head and putting his hands in the air, like kind of like, why is this happening to me? Like, I don't want this to happen, sort of thing.
And so he appeared to be awake?
Correct.
And so what was the end result of that conversation?
George Floyd did not choose to come into the store.
Neither did the passenger front.
Correct.
Right. And so then let's watch Exhibit 31 run here, please. All right, so at the end of that video shows you and the other individual entering back into the store, correct?
Correct.
Okay. When you got back into the store, what did you do about the 2 trips out to the vehicle?
We told our manager that he still refused to come into the store.
And do you know what the manager decided to do about that?
He instructed one of my coworkers to call the police.
And so did you know if that happened?
Correct.
That somebody did call the police?
Correct.
Was it you who called the police about it?
No.
Was it another coworker?
Correct.
And did you ask the coworker to make the call?
No.
And were you present when he made the call?
Correct.
So you were there next to him or something?
Correct.
And so at some point, did the police respond to the store?
Correct.
And when they responded, did you see the officers actually come into the store?
I do not recall.
All right. Did they deal with you when they came to the store?
No.
Do you know who they dealt with?
They went and talked to my manager.
And you were not involved in the conversations with the officers at all at that time?
No.
So what did you do?
I was still working cashier.
Just went about your business.
Correct.
And as you did that, as you continued working, did you notice a commotion out in front of the store?
Correct.
Do you recall what it was that sort of first drew your attention out there?
I just saw a few people at first, and then the crowd grew larger, and pretty soon the store was empty as well, so there was no one that I needed to help inside the store, so then I proceeded to go outside and see what was happening.
When you saw this crowd gathering, where was the crowd?
It was right where the bus stop is on Chicago,
So kind of right in front
or a
of the
little to the left.
Right in front of the store?
10 paces.
I'm sorry, I spoke over you.
Sorry, I was just saying it was just 10 paces to the left of the bus stop.
All right. And so the bus stop, as you're looking out from the store? Does that make sense?
Correct.
And so did you, in fact, decide to go out and look into what the crowd was gathering for?
Correct.
And when you went out there, what did you see?
I saw people yelling and screaming. I saw Derek with his knee on George's neck on the ground.
So let me back up just a little bit. Now, you say Derek, do you mean Mr. Chauvin?
Correct.
Now, did you know who that person was at the time?
No.
So you've just learned his name since then.
Correct.
So was that person wearing a police uniform?
Correct.
And where did you see that individual?
On top of George Floyd.
And you didn't, well, other than seeing Mr. Floyd that day, you did not know him before then, correct?
Correct.
Did you recognize him as the person who had been in the store earlier
Correct.
and the person that you had tried to talk to in the SUV?
Correct.
And did you see any other officers in the area?
I saw, I think his name is Officer Tao.
Where did you see him?
He was in front of the crowd, kind of telling people to stand back.
And do you remember about how many people were in the crowd?
Probably about several.
And when they were, well, what did you see the officer on Mr. Floyd? What was the relation of their two bodies? What was happening there?
George was motionless, limp, and Chauvin seemed he was in a resting state, meaning like he just rested his knee on his neck.
And what did you do when you saw that?
I pulled my phone out first and I called my mom and told her not to come downstairs, and then I started recording.
And did you make a recording?
Correct.
Did you keep that recording?
No.
Why not?
Later on that night, I deleted it because when they picked George up off of the ground, the ambulance went straight on 38th instead of going straight on Chicago. And if you live in South Minneapolis, the easiest way to get to the hospital would have been straight on Chicago. So that to me kind of made it like clear that he was no longer with us.
So you thought he had died?
Correct.
Not quite sure why that would, make you delete the video.
Oh, I just didn't want to have to show it to anyone. I'd be questioning about it.
And so after you called your mom, you started taking a video, what did you do after that?
I was recording until one of my coworkers was pushed by an officer.
And so what had you seen the coworker do right before the push?
He was yelling at the officer, kind of how the other people in the crowd were doing, and asking them to check his pulse, and if he's breathing, see if he's okay, kind of thing.
So did he leave the sidewalk curb area and go onto the road?
Correct.
Okay. How far?
I do not recall.
This coworker of yours that got pushed, do you know how old he was that day?
I do not recall.
Is he older or younger than you?
Younger.
So, a teenager.
Correct.
And after he got pushed, did you see what happened to him or what became of him?
Yes. My other coworker just like grabbed him up and brought him inside.
So removed him from the scene?
Correct.
And prior to coming into court, did we show you a security video from Cup Foods that shows that area?
Correct.
And that area while you were out there?
Correct.
And did that appear to depict truly and accurately the time period during which you were out there during this incident?
Correct.
And Your Honor, I'd offer then what we've marked as Exhibit 33.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
33 is received.
All right, so now I'm going to start showing Exhibit 33, and we may pause this like we had done the other videos, all right? I'm going to pause it right here for a moment. You recognize this scene,
Correct.
and this is you in the foreground, right?
Correct.
And what were you doing right at that moment?
That was when I was calling my mom to tell her not to come down the stairs.
And if she were to come down the stairs this is where you were living, correct?
Correct.
Is the door she would have come out, would that have been in this scene?
Correct.
Can you take that stylus and just show where that door would be?
It would swing open right here.
So if she had come down, she'd have come right into this scene, correct?
Correct.
All right. And then you talked about a coworker who was younger than you who came out. Is that the individual in the white t-shirt?
Correct.
All right. And, okay, so then we will continue to run Exhibit 33, please. I'm going to pause it right here, please. For the record, this is 8:28:34. And can you describe for the jurors what you're doing at this moment?
I was recording the scene.
So this, you had walked farther over towards the scene,
Correct.
and really by the door where your mom would have come out if she had come out.
Correct.
And the individual in the white T-shirt, he had stepped off the curb into the street here, correct?
Correct.
All right. And so then let's continue to run Exhibit 33, please. And we can pause right there, please, 8:28:41. Is that the moment you were talking about when your coworker got pushed?
Correct.
And did you see it all anywhere in there where he touched the police officer?
No.
And so then you are now standing around behind that group of people, correct?
Correct.
Did you know anybody in that crowd?
My two coworkers.
All right. So right now, if you could just put like a line or a dot on where your two coworkers are. And both of those are individuals who went out during the second trip to the SUV, correct?
Correct.
And did you know any of the other people there in the crowd at the time?
Not at the time.
Okay. Did you know Miss Punari?
I think. Yes.
You know Alyssa Punari?
Yes.
And was she there at the time?
Correct.
Do you see where she is now?
Correct.
All right. And how did you know her?
Just through school.
And all right, so then let's continue to run Exhibit 33, please. Now we'll stop right here, please. Can you describe for the jurors and what we're seeing, what's going on there in that segment of the video?
That was when one of the coworkers kind of grabbed up the other coworker and brought him back inside, and I was just yelling like, "Chill out, chill out, chill out."
And so when his coworkers came to get the young man in the white T-shirt, he went with them back into the store.
Correct.
And you were following them?
Correct.
All right, so let's continue to run 33 then. Now I want to pause here for a moment, please. For the record, 8:29:04. Can you tell the jurors what happened, what you were doing here, I guess?
At this point, I think I was just kind of emotional, and I went to the African American that was standing there in the curb, and I was just like they're not gonna help him. This is what we have to deal with. So.
Okay.
Sustained.
Yeah,
They'll be
that's-
stricken.
That's fine. So you had a conversation with another person standing there.
Correct.
And when you walked up there, we saw just before I stopped it, there was a young girl there in a green shirt. Did you see her when you were walking up there?
Correct.
You remember seeing her in the store earlier?
Correct.
Did you know who she was?
No.
And you remember being the cashier when she was in the store earlier?
Correct.
And then can we continue to run Exhibit 33, please? I'm going to pause here for a moment. The record should reflect 8:29:55. We saw you standing there with your hands on your head for a while, correct?
Correct.
What was going through your mind during that time period?
Disbelief and guilt.
Okay. Why guilt?
If I would have just not taken the bill, this could have been avoided.
We also saw another individual get pushed by an officer, correct?
Correct.
And what did you do after that happened?
I was just trying to calm him down, tell him to stand back.
So, and, all right, so let's continue running 33 then, please. Who are you talking to there, Mr. Arden?
My mom.
Okay, so that takes us to the end of Exhibit 33. You were going back into the store.
Correct.
And so then did you just continue to work your shift?
Correct.
And so did you continue to work at Cup Foods as long as you could?
No.
Why not?
I didn't feel safe.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Nelson.
Morning, sir.
Good morning.
Thank you for being here today. You testified that you currently are 20 years old.
19.
19. I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. And at the time, you were both living and working at Cup Foods, right? Or in the apartments above, you were living and working there.
Correct.
All right. And you testified that you had worked there for about a month and a half to 2 months before this incident?
4 months.
4 months. Okay. You would agree that you've made a few statements in connection with this case?
Correct.
You were first interviewed by agents of the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension and FBI back on September 10th of last year. Do you recall that?
Correct.
And then you have had another meeting as of March 12th with the prosecutors and other agents of the BCA, right?
Correct.
And you understand that those statements were recorded,
Correct.
and you understand that we've been provided with transcripts.
Correct.
Have you had an opportunity to review your statements prior to coming into court?
Yes.
And you had an opportunity to review your transcript?
Correct.
All right. So I just kind of want to walk through again. We've now watched a few videos from both inside the store, outside the store, and from a neighboring business. Agreed?
Correct.
And you've had an opportunity to address some things that happened inside the store, outside the store, throughout the whole incident, right?
Correct.
All right. So, you were working, your shift you said started at about 3 p.m. that day?
Correct.
And this incident ultimately was around the 7:30 to 8 o'clock hour, right?
Correct.
And you, video, when we were watching the first video, you and your coworkers seemed to get along quite well.
Correct.
Talking, laughing, having fun, interacting with customers, things of that nature.
Correct.
And the store is sort of like a one-stop kind of a store, right? You can do a lot of things in the store.
Correct.
They've got a deli, you said. You've got cell phone service, cell phone repair, snacks, and then there's the separate tobacco area, right?
Correct.
Now, in the store, is there, where we see you behind the counter, is there an entrance for employees into the tobacco area that you go through?
Could you ask the question again, please?
Sure. So I understand when a customer comes into Cup Foods, there are essentially two doors that they can go through, right?
Correct.
One of them on the right-hand side is the tobacco shop, right?
Correct.
And the one on the left-hand side is the convenience store, the general store, right?
Correct.
All right. And the tobacco shop is separate because you have to be a certain age to go into the store, right?
Correct.
You have to be 21, right?
No.
18?
To buy products or to simply go into the store?
To go in. No, to go into the tobacco portion.
I'm not sure there's an age requirement. People came in no matter how old they were.
All right. Is within the store, is there a partition or some sort of glass that inside the store separates the tobacco area from the convenience store?
Correct.
And so my question is where you stand, like, do you have to walk out through the convenience store door and go into the tobacco store door, or is there a separate entrance where you can get into the tobacco portion?
From where are you starting?
If you were the cashier there, right?
Oh, you can just walk over to the tobacco section. You don't have to go all the way around.
Right.
If that's
Okay.
what you meant.
That's what I meant.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I may have not been articulating that as well.
Yeah, no worries. That's
All right.
my fault.
And you were in the store and you observed a person who you later learned was George Floyd come into the store.
Correct.
And you ultimately assisted him in the store.
Correct.
And he was in the store, and the person that you observed in the front passenger seat was also in the videos we just watched, right?
Correct.
He had on a pair of red sweatpants and a white t-shirt, I believe.
Correct.
All right. And did you have any interactions with him while you were in the store?
Correct.
I believe you said that he had also attempted to use a counterfeit bill,
Correct.
but you stopped him.
Correct.
Did that happen before or after your interaction with Mr. Floyd?
Before.
All right. And so when he handed you that bill, you knew that bill was a fraud.
Correct.
And you immediately kind of said, hey, I'm not taking this bill,
Correct.
right? You knew the store policy at that time, right?
Correct.
And the store policy being if you took a counterfeit bill, that became your responsibility.
Correct.
And so it would get deducted from your paycheck, in other words.
Correct.
And you have some sort of like store tab where you could buy merchandise yourself at the store or services, and it would get deducted from your salary.
Correct.
All right. And so that interaction with that other individual, approximately, was it earlier in the day? Was it, a few minutes before you interacted with Mr. Floyd? How long before did that happen?
Earlier in the day.
So both Mr. Floyd and that individual had been in the store earlier in the day as well, right?
Correct.
And was that an hour, 2 hours? Do you recall?
I do not recall.
All right. And but you remembered him when he came back in the store later in the afternoon.
Correct.
You remembered he was the guy that had tried to hand you a counterfeit bill from earlier.
Correct.
He hadn't changed his clothes, didn't look any different.
I don't think so.
Okay. And so when Mr. Floyd and this other individual came back in the store, we observed kind of him walking around the store, right?
Correct.
And you were helping other customers, you were talking to your coworkers. It's fair to say you weren't paying a lot of attention to what Mr. Floyd was doing at all times he was in the store. Right?
Correct.
But now that you've had an opportunity to see the video, you get to see some of his other interactions and things of that nature, right?
Correct.
Now, there were other customers in the store. The store's a pretty busy store, right?
Correct.
And your manager that you talked to, did you notice that he had what appeared to be a pistol in his?
Correct.
Do you know him to carry a firearm at the store?
Correct.
And when you watched the video, did you see Mr. Floyd sort of do some little dance at one point?
No.
Okay, we'll come back. But you didn't observe that when he was in the store?
No.
All right. And if it's on the video, it would be on the video, right?
Correct.
All right. Again, so at some point, Mr. Floyd appeared to purchase some food as well, right?
Correct.
That being a banana, it looked like in the video.
Correct.
Did you sell him the banana?
I do not recall.
Okay. When he handed you that $20 bill, you testified that you immediately knew it was a fake.
Correct.
Did it appear to be the same type of fake, or maybe even the same counterfeit bill that you had refused earlier in the day?
Correct. It did appear to be similar.
All right. And you took that bill and you held it up and you kind of looked at it through the light, right?
Correct.
What were you looking for?
That's a good question. I have no idea.
Right.
I was just looking at it.
all
I don't
right.
know.
But you immediately recognized it to be a counterfeit bill.
Correct.
And, you know, some bills have like a metal or some sort of a stripe through it. Could you have been looking for something like that?
I'll be honest, I don't know what I was looking for. I just knew it was fake.
You could tell based on the texture of the bill?
And the color of it, as I stated earlier,
Yep.
it had a blue pigment.
So, and you had a pleasant interaction with Mr. Floyd.
Correct.
You were asking him about sports and things of that nature, right?
Correct.
And you formed the opinion that Mr. Floyd was under the influence of something.
Correct.
And you base that on sort of, I think you said, a delay in his speech and response, right?
Correct.
So you were unlike a conversation that we may be having right now, that's rapid, and if you asked him a question, there would be much more of a slowed or delayed response.
Correct.
And I believe in your interviews you also indicated that he was having some trouble with certain words.
Correct. And he was trying to form the words.
Right. So he was delayed in his speech, and you believed him to be under the influence of something.
Correct.
All right. And you were present when your coworker called 911?
Correct.
And do you recall him telling 911 that he appeared to be under the influence?
Correct.
And you had also had, by the time 911 was called, you had had two other interactions with Mr. Floyd outside of the car.
Correct.
All right. And so you made the decision after Mr. Floyd handed you this counterfeit $20 bill that you weren't going to call him out on it like you did with the earlier bill.
Correct.
And was that in part because you felt maybe he's under the influence?
Partially. Partially, the other person that had come in, it kind of seemed like he was trying to scheme, like he knew it was a fake bill and he was trying to get over. I thought that George didn't really know that it was a fake bill, so I thought I'd be doing him a favor.
Okay, trying to help him out. And could you have, I'm just asking generally, could you have just let it kind of go and then told your manager later, hey, put it on my tab?
Correct.
And but you made the decision to talk to your manager, show him the bill, and your manager instructed you to go talk to Mr. Floyd and his friend out in the car.
Correct.
So when you went out to the car the first time with your first coworker, you had a relatively short conversation with him, right?
Correct.
And you went to the passenger side of the vehicle, and the person in the red pants and the white t-shirt, that was the same person that had previously tried to pass the fake $20 bill.
Correct.
And you were encouraging them to come into the store.
Correct.
You were kind of saying, you got to come in, you paid with the fake bill, we got to deal with this, right?
Correct.
You specifically told them that he had used a counterfeit bill
Correct.
and that they needed to come in and either pay for the cigarettes or
Talk to my manager.
talk to the manager, right?
Correct.
Okay. And how would you describe the general tenor of that conversation? What I mean by that is, was it pleasant or was it more aggressive?
It was pleasant. It wasn't in any way, shape, or form aggressive. It was just pretty annoying.
Yeah, just come on in, guys. It was your first attempt to kind of say, hey, come on in, guys. You got to deal with this, right?
Correct.
And you were trying to be polite to these gentlemen,
Correct.
right? And you then had that conversation. And during that first conversation, you said that Mr. Floyd was not really speaking to you, right?
No.
And you said that he was kind of putting his hands up and putting his head back and things of that nature, right?
Correct.
And you then went back into the store, talked to your manager again, and told him they were not agreeable to coming into the store.
Correct.
And the second time you left the store, you were sort of following the other coworkers, agreed?
Correct.
And you would agree that that video sort of showed the three of you almost run out of the store.
Correct.
And you wanted to get them before they drove away, right? Or why would you run the second time?
Correct.
I mean, just so they didn't drive away, or for some
Sure.
other reason?
Correct.
Now, in terms of the second exchange at the vehicle, the coworker went to the driver's side at first, right?
Correct.
And you stayed back a little bit, right?
Correct.
And then you brought back up to the vehicle, right?
Yes.
And you heard what was the conversation, you heard what was being said, both by the passenger of the vehicle as well as your coworker.
Correct.
You indicated that the passenger pulled out the other $20 bill, right?
Picked it up off the ground
Why was it on the ground?
because he threw it on the ground.
The bill that Mr. Floyd used, was that still in the store?
Correct.
And so this other $20 bill was he threw it on the ground, right?
Correct.
Your coworker picks it up, and who ripped it?
The person that was in the passenger seat.
Or he handed it, your coworker handed it back to him or something? Or did he rip it and then throw it on the ground?
The person in the passenger seat ripped the bill, threw it on the ground. The bell was talking to him, and the person picked it up, and it's in a bell.
Okay. And again, this conversation was primarily with the passenger of the vehicle.
Correct.
And there was a female in the back seat of the car.
Correct.
Was she engaged in the conversation at all either?
No.
All right. So, and Mr. Floyd, again, he was not really part of the conversation at that point either.
Not really.
He didn't say, you didn't remember him saying anything.
I would say I do not recall.
Okay. But again, you described his behavior, I think, as kind of just shaking his head, putting his hands up, putting his head back, things of that nature, right?
Correct.
The second conversation was the demeanor or the tenor of that conversation more heated,
Yes.
and there was an outright refusal by either Mr. Floyd or his passenger to come back into the store.
Correct.
And it was based on that conversation that you decided to, or it was decided by your manager to call 911.
Correct.
And again, you were present and heard the 911 call.
Correct.
Now, in your initial conversation with agents, when they were asking you about approaching the vehicle, do you recall describing it as a hot block?
Correct.
What does that mean?
A lot of situations happen.
And do you recall describing your conversation and the words that Mr. Floyd was having trouble saying?
Correct.
Do you remember now today what words Mr. Floyd was having trouble saying?
No.
Would it have been baseball? Do you remember saying that? Do you remember? You don't remember? Would it refresh your
I do
recollection?
not recall.
Okay. Would it refresh your recollection to view a transcript of your statement?
Absolutely.
I'm on the wrong page, I think here. Give me just a second. I apologize, I can't find it right now. We may come back to that. Do you recall describing some other behaviors of Mr. Floyd while he was in the store?
Correct.
What were those behaviors?
He was doing a couple of stretches, like a lunge,
Okay,
kind of.
like kind of stepping forward like
No,
this,
it was more of a side lunge. Start here.
like that?
Correct.
So, for the record, I'm standing kind of feet together and stretching over to the side with one leg, right?
Correct.
Putting his arms in front of him. And kind of based on your observations of his behavior, his speech patterns, that's what caused you to form the impression he was under the influence.
Correct.
Now then, you ultimately met with the prosecution team on March 12th in preparation for your testimony,
Correct.
and that's when you were able to view some of the videos that we've watched here today.
Correct.
And again, you understood that there were agents or law enforcement officers that were there at that time.
Correct.
Do you recall telling them that you felt that Mr. Floyd couldn't comprehend the conversation?
Which conversation?
Your conversation with him.
The first conversation we had?
Right.
I do not recall, but if that's on my transcript, that's the way it is.
Okay. Now, you said after that phone call to the police, you didn't see the police kind of come in the store, you didn't deal with them initially, right?
Correct.
And you just kind of went back to work, right?
Correct.
Dealing with customers, goofing off with your coworkers, kind of just average day, right?
Correct.
But then at some point you noticed there was a commotion outside and you decided to go back outside and see what was going on, right?
Correct.
And you said the first thing you did was to call your mom to tell her not to come downstairs.
Correct.
And then you walked over and you started recording, right?
Correct.
And then after you did some recording, you saw your coworker appear to be pushed by the police officer, right?
Correct.
And you got your coworker, you brought him back inside.
I did not.
Your other coworkers kind of went back inside, right?
Correct.
And you stayed outside, or it appeared that you walked back to the door and then walked back to the crowd.
Correct.
And you described the crowd that they were yelling and screaming.
Correct.
And at one point you tried to actually stop someone or
Hold them back.
hold them back.
Correct.
And that individual appeared to be pretty angry.
Correct.
And you held him back because you didn't want him to get involved.
Yes. Well, I would say not necessarily angry. He had just been pushed, so he was kind of defending himself.
Okay. And you kind of just said to him, calm down, stand back, right?
Right.
I have no further questions, sir. Thank you very much for your time.
Any redirect?
Yes, sir. Prior to working or during your work at Cup Foods, did they ever send you to training on how to identify a fake bill?
No.
Or just kind of learning from experience?
Correct.
When you did interact with Mr. Floyd in the store, what was his demeanor like?
He seemed very friendly, approachable. He was talkative. He seemed to just be having average Memorial Day, just living his life. But he did seem high.
During the second trip out to the vehicle, it was your coworker who did the majority of the talking to Mr. Floyd and the passenger.
Correct.
So Mr. Nelson asked you to agree that that was a more heated conversation. Was it you who made it more heated or your coworker?
My coworker.
And Mr. Nelson asked you to agree that there was an outright refusal to come back into the store. Was that an actual wording that was used, or was that just Mr. Nelson's words, outright refusal?
Those are Mr. Nelson's words.
So Mr. Floyd did not say to you, I'm outright refusing to come back into the store.
No.
But, to be fair, they were not coming back into the store, right?
Correct.
You were asked also about the stretches that Mr. Floyd was doing in the store. And Mr. Nelson demonstrated for us that was a pretty accurate demonstration of what you saw.
Correct.
During that, Mr. Floyd did not fall down,
No.
didn't lose his balance at all.
No.
When he indicated he wanted to go buy some cigarettes, you and he both had to move down to the cigarette counter, correct?
Correct.
And is that what he did? Did he tell you, I want to buy some cigarettes?
Correct.
Did he tell you what brand he wanted?
I do not recall.
We saw you just grab a pack, right?
That could have been the case.
And you gave them to him,
Correct.
and he provided you money and took the change, right?
Correct.
So he was able to complete that whole transaction, correct?
Absolutely.
And you didn't have to guess at what cigarettes he wanted.
Correct.
I have nothing further, Your Honor.
Any reprise?
Sorry, thank you. You were asked a couple of questions about the counterfeit bill.
Correct.
Do you get a lot of counterfeit bills in that store?
No.
Has it happened before?
Correct.
And I believe you were previously asked about good counterfeits and bad counterfeits in your statements with police.
I did not recall.
Okay. Have you seen some bills that are better counterfeits than other bills?
I don't think so.
Okay. But
Not personally, no.
Okay, but you understood that immediately this was a counterfeit bill.
Correct.
Nothing further.
Thanks, sir. You are excused.
Thank you.